I mean, this is serious shit, and I am scared, okay? So I say we get the fuck out of here now, tonight, okay?
You run, you die.
Come on, think about it. This was never about money for us. It was about us against the system. That system that kills the human spirit. We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive. So you trust me? Okay. Then don't worry about this guy. I know exactly what to do with him.
You ever get the feeling that everything in America is completely fucked up? You know that feeling that the whole country is like 1 inch away from saying, that's it, forget it. Let's see,
Hey, twist around. Now look, here's a house full of bees. You think the honey badger cares? It doesn't give a shit.
Listen, let's get one thing straight.
Price is right.
Guns don't kill people. I
Thanks for that. Actually, maybe a real answer to the question.
I got a shake to say I'm proud of it. I'm not proud of it. I'm scared. I would never
Run out of Tom Ford Show episode. That's not impossible. So check out Liberty Tree Podcast.
Off the walls and the carpet off the ground. Old jacket, green jacket, ground.
I think some apologies are in order.
Who dat?
Band called Future Tides.
Future Tides.
Yeah. It's actually my cousin's.
The one that was at the party?
No. Well, you know.
Was he there or not?
Okay, take it easy. No, he wasn't there. My cousin Heidi that you met, it's her nephew.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That was him singing.
Heidi's awesome.
I know.
Fireball.
Just some good old fashioned white guy reggae.
I was working on a job once, and I was working with this guy. He was a total doofus. He was the contractor's son. Just the most drag ass kid you could ever imagine. You know? And I had my little Bluetooth speaker. I was hanging cabinets in this one little area, like for 1 week. It was all this like fine carpentry and stuff. So I just set up like a station in this little tiny room.
Right.
And it was a little Bluetooth speaker, and I was listening. I love like old dub reggae.
Yeah.
Like Scientist and Mad Professor and the old like Horace Andy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Remember those old Trojan box sets?
Oh, yeah.
And they had like the Rocksteady one.
Yep.
Like, God, those are so good.
Yep.
And he decided like we had something in common. He's like, oh, you like reggae? I was like, yeah. He's like, what do you like? And I was telling him, you know, all the usual stuff. And he was just kind of looking at me with this blank look on his face.
Like, why? What do you like?
Yeah.
Bob Marley.
Not even Bob Marley. He brings like a playlist, and he brings his own Bluetooth speaker, and he's playing it in the other room while he's pretending to sweep. And I was listening to it. It's just like every time I walk through there, I was like, did you make a radio station of only white people? It was like Big Mountain. I was like, this is the worst music I've ever heard. That was really good. I like that.
Yeah, isn't it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been listening to it.
What's he do in the band?
He's singing. I think he plays guitar too.
Guitar?
Yeah. What? What did I say?
Man, you were in, where were you, in Nashville? You were in Tennessee for like a week. That was the first thing I noticed is the voice was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good band, I think. I've never seen him live.
So your other cousin was there yesterday. He's a pretty phenomenal musician, you're saying?
Yeah, Gertrude's cousin.
Nice.
Yeah, he can play left-handed, right? He does kind of part of his performance is switching back and forth, left and right while he's playing. I had kind of a long talk with him on the front porch. We were smoking cigars, and I was just I just went into Uncle Jim mode, and I was like, "So, what is your plan for the future?" You know, and I was just trying to tell him, like, he knows it.
He didn't give it back to you and go like, "I noticed that bench in the back's not finished. When are you going to get around to that?"
Touche.
This guy's good.
Yeah, but no, he's a good dude. Love that guy. Great musician. It's not enough to be a great musician, though. If you're trying to make it in this world, you need a lot of luck.
Yes.
And maybe even some backup plans.
Trust me on this one. I did not realize Gertrude's dad had all those brothers.
Oh, he's one of 10.
Yes, I did not know this.
Boys and girls.
Because all these guys kept coming in. They looked just like him. I was like, wait a minute. Who's that? And there's like 4 of them standing around. I'm like, I can't even keep track of who's who now. I didn't realize that side of the family was so huge.
Oh, it's huge.
That's what my wife said. She goes, I can't believe how big their family is.
That wasn't even...
Yeah.
That was like maybe a third of the people represented, of all the brothers and sisters.
That was cool, man. That was a good day.
Dude, I love her family so much. And when they show up,
sweet people.
They are there to party.
Yeah.
And just, they show up late, but they stay forever, which I love. It's fine. You know, I went to bed before some of them even left.
Yeah.
I love that. That's the way it was at our wedding, which you missed. All of my family showed up early and just like went super hard.
Yeah.
My uncle, my mom's brother, was up on the hay bales with this like Viking hat that somehow we had laying around. He was like, just, you know, this like,
we're going to storm the Capitol.
This 70-year-old man doing that. Exactly. The QAnon shaman thing up on the straw bales. And by like 9 o'clock, all of them are just like out.
Yeah.
And then family, Gertrude's family was there a little bit late, as they are wont to be. But they stayed through the whole night.
Yeah.
And then the salsa music came on, and then it was like, round 3, let's go. And they know how to pace themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. My family, a little bit more of a flash in the pan, if you will.
Sprinters.
Yes. All right. So, the former president, someone tried to shoot him.
Yes, I heard this.
Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah. I think we said something about that.
So,
dude, isn't it just like our podcast to have that happen the minute we turn off the mics?
Yes.
I'm almost grateful, because I don't want to be in the position of having to try to react to things right as they happen, because it usually takes me a while to kind of figure out what my thinking is around
all of the things that immediately come out. And then
Yes.
2 days later, you're like, not even close.
Right.
Yeah. I think I talked to you about this, but I didn't watch the debates, but I watched my in-laws watch the debates.
Yep.
And they were shocked.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, you and I have had discussions about this. I was like, you guys didn't know this? We've been talking about this for like 2 years. And at one point, one of them goes like, what are we going to do? I was like, well, and then my wife blurted out, she goes, well, Matt doesn't think he's going to be president. So they're like, how? Like, why not? It's like, well, assassination's still on the table. And they're like, no. I'm like, it's kind of the last option they have left. And then that happened a week later. And I got the news. My wife, I was working in the backyard. My wife ran out and she goes, you were right.
Yes. I mean, not good, but. Did you hear this? The View talking about it?
Dude, I love it that you keep clips from The View.
The View is my jam now. It's like, let's see.
It's like if Next Door had a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And I also need to say, I hope that at some point in this country, we do have a conversation about what is happening, because we can't just react when it is our side. What was this again? It was, a 20-year-old lone wolf, white, whack job with easy access to a gun. And we have to have a conversation about that, because it wasn't a drag queen. It wasn't an immigrant. It wasn't a pissed off liberal woman. This
Isn't it like just funny how they are just
all over the place?
They're so they can't see anything except through the lens of identity.
Full myopia, just like
yes, everything is identity to these people. That's what matters most.
This keeps happening, and we need to react not as left or right, not as Republicans or Democrats. We need to react as Americans, and we need to ask better.
Okay, I just want to add that the shooter, yes, he was a 20-year-old kitchen worker from nearby Bethel Park in Pennsylvania. According to a CNN report, a senior law enforcement official said that he bought 50 rounds of ammunition from a local gun store hours before the rally. Shouldn't that have been reported? Somebody buys a 20-year-old white guy? I mean, we've seen that many times now. Young.
Yeah, it's not like it was a black guy. It was a white guy, and he bought 50 rounds of ammunition.
How many people would you need to employ that would go over the reporting of anytime someone bought 50 rounds of ammunition?
Can you buy less than 50 rounds?
I don't think so.
It comes in a box, Joy. Like, they don't sell them one at a time. Like, I'll have 3 bullets, please. I'm going to do some shooting this weekend. Like, come on. They just, and again, like the 20-year-old white guy. Yeah. It was a white guy. Hello. I mean, if a white guy walks into a gun shop, that should be reported. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, let's be real here. This is a major warning sign.
White men with guns, and nobody reported that he bought 50 rounds of ammunition.
Well, there's also a post-mortem, as Alyssa said.
It's just...
So what she's proposing there is that there should be a reporting system that anytime someone buys 50 rounds of ammunition.
Well, especially a white guy.
White guy.
Yeah. 50 rounds. It comes in a box. Oh my God. So, did you happen to watch?
Are you looking at the betting odds there?
Oh, dude, thank you. I'm glad that just accidentally popped up. Let's see. Where's my mouse? Here we go. Wait for it. Right after the assassination attempt, the odds went through the roof. So here we go. As of, so this says updated July 19th. I think it's updated even on the weekends though. Mm-hmm. We got Donald Trump surging ahead, 65%. Second place, Kamala Harris, 28%. Joe Biden all the way down to 15%.
Wow.
And Gavin Newsom up to 6%.
That's a load off.
I have been checking Twitter on a daily basis because I'm just, every morning I'm thinking this is going to be the day when they say Joe Biden's out.
Right.
And you had mentioned
I thought
yesterday.
They did. Yeah. So I think
that you thought that he had already bowed out, but I don't believe that's true.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it would be bigger news. Everyone would be talking about Kamala Harris.
I think they're saying it was going to be this weekend. Do you know the details on this? I think they're calling.
Yes.
Okay. I
don't know what you're about to talk about, but I'm just going to go with yes, I do.
I think why I thought that they had already announced that is I saw the details worked out that there would be an open primary, which means, because usually it's like, well, it's going to be Kamala Harris then. Mm-hmm. And I don't know the logistics of how that works as far as like campaign laws.
It's
now
my
they're saying
understanding
it's an open.
I don't think there's any laws around this.
Okay.
I think that
because there's some details about, because he has something like $90 million in his war chest, $190 million in his war chest. And there's some kind of technicality that would automatically go to the vice president unless there's an open primary, something like that. Do you know anything about that?
I believe that. Okay, yeah. So in terms of law, yeah, I believe that is a law. But the Democrat Party is allowed to choose whoever they want, because that's not something that's set in law. They're just a party, a political party that can do whatever they want, is my understanding. And so if something happens, it would likely happen, you would think, at the DNC, the Democrat,
is
Democrat National Convention.
This week, isn't it?
I think it's this week.
Yeah. Where they had Michigan?
Probably some swing state.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure where. It's fascinating because all of this stuff. Hold on, am I going to get ahead of myself if I start talking about the Republican National Convention?
I
think I can.
I actually listened to a little bit of the RNC stuff, like the speeches.
Did you? What'd you listen to? I did too, a little bit.
I heard bits and pieces of Trump's speech. I heard a little bit of J.D. Vance's speech, a little bit of Vivek. Ron DeSantis brought it.
Is that right?
I
didn't hear his
speech. Yeah, everyone was like, "Why couldn't you do this?
Where were you 7 months ago?"
But it was kind of funny because historically, I mean, not that I follow this stuff very much, but they're typically very drab, fluff pieces and empty rhetoric. And the Trump one was raucous, man. Kid Rock was there. It was like a full-on rock show.
That's the thing. And I listened to Bill Maher this week, and all they can do is just complain about what wingnuts the people on the right are and how just unhinged everyone is. And they're just, come on, Hulk Hogan at the Republican National Convention. Like, what?
It was a little much.
Well,
he rips his shirt off.
My father-in-law made the point this morning. He goes, it's all theater anyways.
Yes.
And the Republicans seem to have understood that finally.
Yeah.
And so this was just a big entertaining event.
Yeah.
And they just had a fucking party.
If none of this matters, let's have some fun.
Let's fucking party, right?
Yeah.
We're bringing Hulk Hogan in. What do you got, DNC? Like, you're going to bring some like disabled woman of color trans activist to talk? Like, that's really going to excite people in the crowd. Actually, my cousin, probably 8 years ago, was telling me that she went to the Republican National Convention. And I was like, what? You went to the Republican National Convention? Why? And she's like, I don't know. I don't really believe in all that politics bullshit. I don't follow it, but someone asked me to go and I went, and it was actually really fun.
Really?
And it's like, maybe that's the whole point. Yeah. Let's just have fun. We know what's going to happen here. It's all
right.
We knew that Vance was going to be the nominee or the vice presidential appointee or whatever you call it, kind of ahead of time. It's not like we were waiting to hear some voting or some drama was going to happen. It was just a big we're the Republicans, let's fucking go.
Did you ever read his book Hillbilly Elegy?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is.
That is some depressing shit.
Yeah,
and he does such a good job of just painting this picture. Like, this is how bleak it is. Complete hopelessness for these people.
He was a bit of a media darling when that book came out. I remember him being on NPR talking about it, because it was around the time where we were trying to explain what happened.
Yeah,
because Donald Trump got elected. Like, who are these deplorables that are taking voting into their own hands, not doing what we're telling them to do? They're not voting in their best interest, as if the NPR is allowed to tell you what your best interest is. And I remember reading that book and just thinking, like, God, he really fucking nailed a part of the country that no one gives a shit about,
completely forgotten,
don't write books about or anything. It was cool. And I think both of us probably have ancestry that comes, well, maybe not you. Well, your last name's those. Sorry. Everyone should know at this point what your last name is. There's gonna be a lot of bleeps apparently in this episode. Fucking partied yesterday. I don't know if you know that.
No worries.
We have Appalachia in our history. Yeah, most likely, because most Scotch-Irish came to that part of the country before they went anywhere else. So interesting. They were panning. I think it was on the night that Trump spoke, because they had a band. They were playing a ZZ Top song, but it didn't look like ZZ Top. They're a pretty easy band to recognize, unless they've totally changed their look recently, and I hadn't heard about it. And so it's basically a cover band.
Oddly enough, I heard the band was really, really good.
They were good.
Yeah.
And everyone in the stands was just kind of like dancing, no one could dance, but that's kind of like the thing. It's almost cool to not be able to dance. Right? If you can dance, you're kind of like, all right, tone it down, bro. And
you're not really on the right.
Exactly. There's some guy moonwalking. You're like, that guy right there fed. And then they're just kind of panning across the crowd. And then they got to this one section and the camera didn't stop there. It just kind of went past this one section of the crowd. And they were in this like glass pen up in the stands. And they were all standing there like this. Not one head bobbing.
Really?
Not one foot tapping. Huh. And I was like, what the? And I'm like, oh, that's the media.
I will not enjoy myself.
It's so funny. But yeah, it was, fuck. I mean, I guarantee you go to the DNC and it's going to be boring as shit.
I think I might listen to some of that.
I have to.
So I just realized like how I got roped into that is an AM radio program that I like. They went there and covered the whole thing, and they were interviewing different senators, and they kept saying like, they were talking about like, well, you know, this speech said this, and they laid out this. God, can you believe how good this band is? Senators were coming by like, man, this band is really good. But now they're going to the DNC. They're going to cover that.
Oh,
so
nice.
I want to hear both.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I totally avoid political theater like this, but it is interesting.
It's like
we're in a very precarious spot as a country, so I'm kind of paying more attention to stuff.
It's also kind of like this evolution of like mental martial arts. Like you start out being totally anti all this stuff, right? And then you become a little bit more politically aware and you're like, I'm going to like listen to what they're saying. And you're like, I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they did that. And you get kind of worked up about it. But then as your evolution goes, it's like you become like the old man who now you just watch it for...
Yes.
You're like, I just want to see
more at this 40,000 foot level.
Yes, I just want to see what's going on. Yeah, I just kind of put my finger on the pulse a little bit.
That's why when something significant happens, when I hear about, I don't know, whatever, an assassination attempt, is I always go to like Huffington Post or turn on NPR. I was like, I always want to hear like, what's their take on that? Because I'll hear something that's wildly on the other side. I was like, what's the kind of the counter strike to what they're saying?
I got a good.
There was some wacky that so many people on the left jumped onto the wild conspiracy theory, which welcome to the party, guys, is saying that the whole thing was staged.
Here, listen to this. Your timing is impeccable.
Oh, no way.
It's a false flag.
False flag.
Yeah, false flag.
Somebody died and 2 people injured. What do you think about that?
False flag.
False flag.
I thought it was magnificently staged. It was professionally done. It almost looked real.
Wait. Staged by who?
Oh, by Mr. Trump, of course.
I think this whole thing is staged.
You think it was staged?
Yeah.
It depends on everybody's view. Yeah.
View of the assassination attempt? What do you think? Does it kind of depend on where you're standing, whether or not you agree with the assassination attempt or disagree with it?
I just don't see that being the truth, but that's I'd rather just not make any comment.
Really quick, what are you talking about the truth? What do you mean? Oh, you just don't believe it was an assassassination attempt?
No.
Please don't.
No.
We're so anti-Trump. I don't even want to.
Was it a bad thing, though? Was it a bad thing? Would you condemn it?
Oh, that he got shot at? Of course.
Yeah, you never do that.
Of course, you don't do that.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, that's really...
So let's run through the logistics of that being staged.
Okay.
So if I were to pitch this to you, you're Trump. You're like, listen, we're going to have this thing in the bag. Okay. You're going to go up stage, do your speech, and then we're going to fake an assassination attempt.
Okay.
Using live ammo.
Well, I guess you'd have to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to look real.
Sure.
We think it'd be best if he actually kind of hit you.
Yeah. Some blood.
Yeah.
So you're thinking what, like in the shoulder or in the butt cheek maybe?
Shoulder would be good. Head would be even better.
Head. That seems a little dangerous.
But not in the head.
I'd die if you hit me in the head.
Right. Which is not what we want. We're trying to steal this election.
Can't win the election if you
He's going to nick your ear. You'll be out of the hospital in like an hour, tops.
I'm going to go with a no.
Okay. The guy's going to have a really high-powered rifle.
Yeah,
We're only talking like...
Well, okay, hold on.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Before I say absolutely not.
Okay, yeah. Just Go ahead.
Obviously, you're talking about a highly trained marksman who has, could hit a gnat's ass at 1,000 yards.
No, that would be a little too obvious.
Okay.
So we've been grooming this 20-year-old kid for a while now, and he seems to be on board.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, he's an adult.
Okay. If I say yes, you got to promise that no one else gets hurt.
See, again, I think that'd be a little suspect.
Oh, God. So you're going to wound someone in the stands also?
We're going to do our level best.
Yeah.
Okay. Not kill anybody. We also thought if the person was like ex-military or had a lot of firearms training, it would raise a lot of red flags, to go back to what that guy was saying. So he's a great guy. I mean, dependable. He's a fast food worker. Shows up, very dependable. I think we can trust this guy.
Yeah, you're out of your goddamn mind. You think I'm going to do this? Stupid idea.
All right. Well, if you don't want to win, that's up to you.
Yeah, I have heard all of they shot the people in the stands, but they didn't shoot anywhere near him. When he went down, someone pulled out a razor blade and sliced his ear.
Which is exactly what Hulk Hogan used to do back in the day.
Now we're connecting the dots. Yeah, Hulk Hogan just happens to be at the RNC afterwards. Come on, I'm not buying it. It seems like these people, I understand, the people that we just played, they hate him.
Yeah.
They think he's Hitler. They wanted him to have died. So they can't possibly wrap their heads around the fact that their side actually tried to kill the president. No, we're the good guys, right? But you and I have been saying for a long time, not just us, but they are not going to let Donald Trump, like Vivek Ramaswamy said, they aren't going to let him get within an inch of the White House.
Right.
They're never going to let it happen.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still sticking to my prediction that he won't.
So I have another prediction that I will get into, I guess right now.
But I would be surprised, like this was kind of the last play. I don't know. They could try it again.
There's one more play.
Okay.
They could try it again. I don't think so. They can't try it again.
Yeah.
So I think we can all agree that men should be protecting the president and not women.
This would be a perfect example to support what you're saying.
I mean,
if you watch the video.
We don't have a shortage of men in the United. I mean, we do have a shortage of real men, maybe.
If we're talking military, I can bring up some statistics.
We don't have a shortage. We don't have a shortage of men, even though, like, we like to joke that the world is almost completely populated with soy boys now, and real men are hard to come by. There's still tens of thousands of men that would fit the description of someone that you would want protecting you in some sort of capacity, in some sort of security.
Do you know what the classical way, the metric they use to gauge strength in a person, particularly men?
Grip strength.
Yeah, grip strength. And it's gone down by like 70% since the 60s.
Yeah, just go shake your granddad's hand.
Yes.
You pussy. It's going to crush you. So I'm just thinking like
that old school Navy death grip.
Yeah, like, oh God, Grandpa, stop. I know. Ugh.
Kids like you.
Yep. Yeah, you saw Trump like the very next day surrounded by men.
Yeah.
There were no women.
They did make some adjustments.
You got to think Trump was like, enough with the women. All right. I want the biggest, strongest, baddest. He probably just like said, you guys can go fuck off. I have my own people.
We need Joseph on here more often because his Trump imitation is so perfect.
It's really good. I know.
I've seen your swing.
I was thinking that I'm pretty sure if I was in Trump's shoes, and for some reason people wanted me...
The ones he put back on after being shot.
Yes. Those gold sneakers. He should just be wearing those.
Everyone says like no one actually knows how they will act in that moment until you are in that moment.
Yeah.
We train with firearms and martial arts and all this stuff, and then until you're actually in that, like, who has that fight or flight response?
Tucker Carlson said, "No, you don't know who you are until you've been tested."
Right.
Trump got tested and he got the highest score ever recorded.
He jumped out with my shoes
and then just fight. It was like, holy shit, look at this guy.
See, that's why to go back to the videos you just played, they're like, dude, that was so staged. I was like, dude, I don't think Hollywood could have done a better job than what actually happened. So I can kind of see where those people come from. You're like, dude, come on. It's so perfect.
It makes sense, though, when you look at a guy like Trump.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he's going to react in that situation. It kind of reminds me of my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
He is oddly similar to Donald Trump.
Uh-huh.
And he would be the kind of guy that would end up like reacting in that same way where you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Look at him. One time, me and Chris Moreno and I were working at the fair. And my cousin came over and he needed to go to a car or something. He was our boss at the time. And he needed to go get something out of the van or whatever. He goes, let me borrow your skateboard. And Chris and I looked at each other like, you're going to ride a skateboard?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, give me the skateboard. I had no idea that he had even ever stepped foot on a skateboard.
Yeah.
And he just grabs the skateboard, jumps on it and like takes off. And it's just like, like power sliding. Like, I'm just like, Chris and I are looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like, I don't think he probably never had ridden a skateboard. He just got it. Like he just in that situation, he's like, I got this. And I took off. Like he didn't know how to ride a skateboard, so he just did what everyone else does and just like takes off on it.
Yeah,
you're just like, what the fuck? And same thing with Trump. Like he just reacts in the most heroic way possible because he can't operate at any other level.
Yeah,
except for just like extreme rock star mode all the time.
Right.
That's just who he is. It's not surprising.
I can see that about your cousin.
Yeah.
Too. Unrelated, but that reminded me of a funny story. Do you remember our old guitar player, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
And phenomenal guitar player, like a crazy good musician, but just a weird dude.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our drummer at the time like to make a big deal about his birthday. And so we all met there and we went roller skating. I was like, we're going roller skating?
Right.
I want to go roller skating. And Jay straps on this. He's wearing he always like to make a spectacle. He's wearing a headband and a half shirt and these tight 80s shorts.
Nice.
And phenomenal roller skater.
Yeah.
Like skating backwards, like shooting the duck past everyone. I'm like, of course, this guy knows how to roller skate.
Oh, we're going roller skating? Okay, cool. Here's what I want to say about it being staged. There isn't a scenario where something like that happens. I mean, you pick the scenario. You can't think of one that you wouldn't be able to look at it and go, that looks staged.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way, there's no purity, seal of authenticity in any of these events.
Yep.
Unless you're standing there watching it directly or it's happening to you, you have a very, very intimate knowledge of the bullet, going into the ear, like you saw it or something. It all can look staged. We all saw it through a screen. It is possible to stage anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not enough to just say, well, it looks staged, or it's just too good to be true. It's just, that's no way that actually happened. Like you can literally say that about any event in history. Yeah. It all could be staged. So
that's why I threw on, I don't know why I felt like saying this, but when I did the intro to the last podcast I did want to hit on that. At no point do you and I claim anything to be true, or we know this, okay, we got this thing figured out. Mm-hmm. All we do is just kind of, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And we just ask questions because I'm always obsessed with the idea of like the concept of truth,
right?
Of, asking questions about being lied into a war. It's like, well, I don't know if we were. My hunch is we were based on this. It's like, we never got these questions asked. This math does not add up. These dots connect. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you see like patterns, and then the same thing happened with the next war, and then the next war, for example. But it reminded me of conspiracy theories. And so let's take the Trump assassination, right? Maybe it could be staged, for example, right? And the whole thing was this perfect production, like,
it could be.
They rehearsed it and the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's a little less plausible than some wingnut shooting. Shooting at him because he's deranged and hates Republicans, whatever.
And they all have been asking for someone to take him out.
Yes.
That's a direct quote.
Which we do have a track record of the FBI grooming people online. Like, hey, we could get you the gun if you really want to do this. As far as conspiracy theories in the media, it's for the people that hate conspiracy theories and the media going like, come to us for the information. Like, don't buy into these wild conspiracy theories. And then the regular NPCs out there, they get upset when you bring up a conspiracy theory, right? They're like, can't you just take the information that they give us and just believe that and not question it? Here's how you make more conspiracy theories or make people buy into them, right? Is when the official narrative is such unbelievable bullshit of like, why was that roof not covered?
Well, it was too steep.
It was too steep. Okay, but everyone else is on a roof at a steeper pitch. Like, well, it was a safety issue. I'm like,
safety, motherfucker. His job is to throw himself in front of a bullet to protect the president, but he can't get on a roof. That's too steep. And is that an OSHA thing? We're allowed to get shot.
Yeah. So with the one roof,
seems like it's a health hazard.
With a perfect shot, 150 yards, which is not a long shot by any stretch, not with an AR-15 with an optic, is you guys need to do better if you want to combat conspiracy theories. This is how they get started. Is when what you say is the least plausible out of all of them. Then we go like, okay, well, we're going to start spitballing ideas because that's clearly not what happened.
It kind of goes back to what you always say about we deserve better psyops too, because they've gotten lazier, it seems like.
I have a theory on that.
Less competent to the point where and I'd like to hear your theory, but to me, what it looks like is that this is just Bush League amateur hour, and that they've had so much cronyism and nepotism and so many just like unqualified people doing these jobs because they had to check diversity boxes or political favors had to be paid back or whatever, that they've just created this culture of just total ineptitude. So even the criminal shit that they're trying to do, they suck at it.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't your father's CIA. This is like,
dude, you and I. So think about it like this: is your grandpa starts a tractor business from scratch, right?
Yeah.
And he knows tractors, and he knows what people want, and he knows what farmers need, and he grows his business, and he grows it, and it becomes like this multinational corporation. And then he passes it on to his son. His son was groomed to do the job. Been working there since he was a kid, sweeping the floors and works his way up, eventually owns the company when your grandfather passes. He doesn't really have like what your grandpa had though. Like this was what he was made to do. Now you were very good at it, but you don't have it. It's like not in your DNA, like what your grandpa was. And then you pass it on to your kid and your kid just like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm inheriting this business. Slowly, the business starts to kind of, the wheels start to come
They
off.
say that wealth only lasts 3 generations,
right.
usually.
So that's what they're saying about these like New World Order globalist psychopaths. They were like the OG guys. Like it was in their DNA. Like they were passionate about ruling the entire world and killing presidents and overthrowing democratically elected governments and starting new wars. And it passed on to their kid. And they kind of something that's like now we're on like the 3rd generation, and they're saying like they're just not good at it, and the wheels are falling off the New World Order.
They're like, it just seems like a lot of work to cover up this assassination attempt.
Overthrow Venezuela.
Can you just say like the pitch was too steep?
Yeah,
okay, fine.
Bothering me with this shit.
So what I'm about to tell you is going to make me sound like a Trump sycophant, which I'm not. I think I've made that clear over many.
You might want to say it one more time.
I'm not a Trump supporter.
Okay, gotcha.
But let me say, for example, did you listen to Trump's speech? I mean, it was a fucking hour and a half long.
I heard like little snippets of it.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of listening to his speeches.
Me neither. I wanted to hear it because
did you hear his one as at a campaign stop and he just started riffing on like sharks?
No,
I gotta find it. It is like the most hilarious thing, and it's like I had just heard like Biden's latest thing where he's just like, and then they contrasted it with, and here was Trump's speech, and it's like full like he has like insane ADD. He's jumping all over. He starts talking about sharks. Like I don't know how long can a shark go without eating. Yeah, come on. Oh my god, dude.
And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too. A lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted if the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking? Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time.
I love how people on the
these are our two choices, huh?
The Biden supporter people, like the diehards, are like, my aunt is a clinical psychologist, and she listened to Trump's speech. She said this guy clearly has dementia or something. You're just like, shut the fuck up.
That's not the lane you guys want to take, Biden supporters.
Right? Come on.
Come up with some Russian collusion or something.
He hit this one thing in his speech, which I only listened to because I just wanted to get a tone of what was kind of his vibe after the shooting. And, I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about that, but he hit this one point about the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Oh, really?
And he said, but he used the words, he said, we want our hostages back, which I had forgotten that Israel was our 51st state. Mm-hmm. We used to say that a lot, and then it just slipped my mind. But yeah, so clearly our hostages, meaning these Israeli hostages.
Yeah.
And he said, and you'll have, 90 days to get them back after I take office, or you're going to pay a price that's so severe you won't even imagine what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? They're going to pay a severe price?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen one picture of what Gaza looks like?
Yeah.
Right now? You're telling me that this, like, I'm not going to pull it up, but if I pull up just Google or dildo Hamas or Gaza damage from Israel, you will see a city that has been fucking flattened.
And it was not in the best shape before that.
And this is what they're doing to get hostages back?
Yeah.
I thought the Israeli military was like some advanced military.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just go get the fucking hostages. How do you know that what you destroyed wasn't full of innocent people?
It was.
You said Hamas was hiding in the basement. Well, are we sure that the hostages were not in the basement? And if you are sure, then you must be sure where they are. Why don't you just go fucking get them?
Yeah.
And I'd like to know what Donald Trump thinks he's going to do. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you going to do? Kill a bunch of women?
Mm-hmm.
And children? Like, how severe are you talking? Because it's pretty fucking severe right now.
Yeah.
Are you just going to nuke them off the fucking face of the earth? Like, shut up. Like, it just pisses me off, that kind of, like, just lazy, just aggressive rhetoric. This, like, I'm going to kill innocent people to get these people back, and if you don't do it, like, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just like, it's fucking makes me so angry, because you look at how devastated this place is, and we're supposed to vote for you so that you devastate it even more.
Yeah. The AM radio program that I was mentioning earlier is like, I don't hate listen, because I think it's a really good show, and I think they're good at what they do. I agree with roughly 55% of the things they say, but one of the hosts in particular is that guy. He's like, anytime a country gets froggy, it's like, we just got to go in there and just show them like that we're in charge, just drop a few bombs and show them, and which is fine. Like, I mean, I think that's important, and I disagree with it. What drives me nuts is he always refers to himself as a libertarian. Mm-hmm. And I actually considered sending him an email like, listen, love the show. Don't agree with everything you guys say. Like, stop calling yourself a libertarian. You are not a libertarian. You're the most neocon, right-wing, pro-war chicken hawk.
Might makes right.
You're right up there with Lindsey Graham, dude. Stop calling yourself a libertarian. There's 40 branches of libertarianism. There's one thing that holds them together, and that's the non-aggression principle and being anti-war. Like, you are not a libertarian. Stop saying that.
Okay, so that being said, and I agree with you 100%. I was going to say, talking about the protection thing, if I was in Trump's golden sneakers on that stage, about to give that speech, I have zero doubt in my mind that if I asked you and Jake and James and, throw Zach in there, the four of you, make sure I don't get shot while I'm giving this speech.
Right.
That it would have happened. That I would not have gotten shot. That there's zero chance. My son, who's 6 years old, would have prevented someone from being on that building.
Who's on that roof over there?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Trump finally did that. That's why all those men were surrounding him. He was just like, I got this.
Right.
I don't want the Secret Service anymore. Just fuck off. Although knowing Trump, he probably is going to build the Secret Service a new building and fucking jerk them all off. But this is what I think happened that day. I think a miracle happened.
Okay.
A legitimate miracle. To the tune of basically, I was trying to think of a good analogy to describe kind of how things changed on that day. And this is what I came up with. Imagine you have a couple, a man and wife, and they have a child, a single child. And then the man and the wife decide that they're going to get divorced. And they sit down at the table with their son and they say, you have to pick who you want to live with, and we're going to flip a coin. And you know what the odds are of a coin flip, right?
Yes.
Well, it's less than 50-50 because there is the chance that the coin could land on its edge.
On its side.
So they flip this coin, it bounces on the table, and it lands on the edge. And they all just sit there and they go, fuck, like, I guess we're not getting divorced.
Right.
Right? It would be so profound if that actually happened that it might shake everyone to their core. Like, God has stepped in and showed us that he's real and that this, is what we're doing. We have to stay together.
So you're going the divine intervention route.
I am.
Okay.
So, because the likelihood of him surviving that shooting was him turning his head at exactly the right moment. Like, I think that...
Or was it?
Right. I mean, I believe that God controls the entire universe, that this is all some divine drama that each of us has a role to play. We're all actors in God's play. He already knows the outcome.
God's simulation.
And yeah, exactly. It is simulation theory that I'm talking about, right? So, in no exaggerated way, he reached down, turned Trump's head, and bullet right through the ear rather than hitting him in the head.
It's pretty insane. Remember, I text you afterwards. I'm like, it's wild to think about that we were a quarter inch away from a possible civil war.
Right.
Is that crazy to think about?
Well, what happens at the RNC, which happened to be 1 week after the shooting, less than a week, days after the shooting? What happens there if if Trump is dead?
Yeah.
Something, I guarantee Hulk Hogan's not talking. Okay.
Now that's divine intervention.
So this was planned.
Has anyone ever seen Hulk Hogan and Jesus in the same room?
So you and I used to predict like how they would keep Trump out of the office. Mm-hmm. And we always said that if they would go to the lengths of assassinating him if they have to.
Right.
It seemed like the lawfare and everything was probably going to kind of trip him up, but everything just made him stronger. And it got to this point, and sure enough, they did. But we couldn't see to predict what if they hit him, graze him, and he survives.
Oh, it'd be the most insane prediction ever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is the one that has made the biggest difference. It's just the difference between him dying and him getting grazed and living is like they're miles apart.
Yeah.
Him dying is in between.
We're
those
looking
two.
at the Vegas odds right now of what it did.
In terms of like him actually dying is somewhere like in the middle of him getting grazed and him not getting shot at all.
Oh, for sure.
Him not getting shot at all, the odds of him versus Joe Biden are a lot closer. Him dying, obviously the odds are much different. Him getting grazed and living is like this like miracle. And it's not unlike when he ran in 2016. He was not supposed to win.
Yeah.
This was a major mistake.
The day of the election, they're saying there's just no way. There's no way he's going to win.
Right. The whole Russia gate, all of the shit that they came up with, everything, like it is a miracle in the odds sense.
Yeah.
It's the coin flip landing on its edge that he even got elected in the first place.
Right.
That was not supposed to happen. And now they try this. This was not supposed to happen. Right. So there's this kind of vein running through the Trump experience of him. He is not supposed to be there, and he's fucking there still, and wilder than ever before.
When you first kicked that off, I was like, it's a little out there. But yeah, when you add everything up, you're like, everything has been a complete improbability.
After this happened, like this is the biggest turning point, I think. You can't see it when you're in it, but I'm predicting that this will be the biggest turning point in American history, at least in a very, very long time. That bullet going through his earlobe was, or whatever part of his ear it hit, was insane.
Yeah.
Like this is like huge turning point. Right after that, you had everybody walking back kind of their hatred of Trump. Not everybody.
Yeah.
But a lot of people. Like, you heard about what happened with Tenacious D?
I did. I actually want to talk about that. Is the thing I took away from that. So for those of you who don't know, Tenacious D, Jack Black, and Kyle Gass, I believe is his name. They were playing a show in Australia, and it was Kyle Gass's birthday, and they made a big production of it. And then on stage, he goes, "What's your wish?" And I think he said, "Next time, don't miss Trump," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, Jack Black goes, "I was totally blindsided by that comment, like, trying to distance himself from it."
Mm-hmm.
They canceled the tour. I think some of
Jack Black, who was just recently doing fundraiser stuff for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like
big
he's a
Democrat.
huge Democrat supporter.
Yeah. This was my thought on that. They also had that lady at Walmart, the guy confronted her. She wrote something on, like, I wish that guy had been a better shot. And this guy went to her job. He's like, "I'm going to make you famous," and blah, 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 blah. And she's just sitting there, so comments like that are a little deranged. The worst example I've seen was the guy at the RNC with a sign with a picture of the shooter that says "American Hero." I was like, dude, okay, I get it that you don't like this guy's politics, but also like an innocent, like, father and husband died too. Like, a little bit of respect, right? I think those comments are kind of disgusting. Just, I don't care what outside of like a pedophile, like, I don't want to see anyone ever die. The thing with Tenacious D, and I guess like all of these situations that kind of came out, they're trying to get people fired for what they put online and stuff. I was like, that's cancel culture. And that's something that I hate about the left. And number one, I think, Jack Black, you are a pussy, man. You threw your boy under the bus immediately so you could get away from that. The thing you should have said is like, it was a joke. Everyone relax. And Kyle Gass came out and said, like, I was in the moment. I made a crude joke. I apologize. Dude, good enough. That's fine. Like, stop. If you hate this whole cancel culture thing, and then you take part in it because you're like, well, now they're doing it, so I can use it against them. I'm like, you've lost the moral high ground in my mind.
I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
Especially someone making a joke.
I will say this, though. There is one other possibility, and that is that Jack Black was actually really kind of shocked that Kyle would say that.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Because not only did they cancel their tour, but he said that
Oh, he got dropped from his management agency and all kinds of shit.
They're not going to make music anymore at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that makes you a pussy.
He said all creative endeavors are, at this point, like on hold. Well, yes, you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
But it is telling that a lot of people, and just maybe getting away from the Jack Black thing, the Tenacious D thing, a lot of people are walking back their he's Hitler kind of stuff, which is a change of mind or a wake up for a lot of people that, okay, I was saying he was Hitler, but I guess I didn't really mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And they might even be saying that to themselves, like, okay, I didn't really want him shot,
It's a little hyperbolic. Hitler did.
Yeah, maybe I was getting a little carried away there, Maybe.
I mean, just in the literal sense, it's not true.
Maybe I hate him, but he's not Hitler, which to me is a big fucking change because everyone could be as just unhinged as they want to be up to this point. Yeah. They could say whatever the fuck they wanted, and it's just like being on the internet anonymously. Like you put it out there, and who cares what the consequences are? It's never going to come back to me. Well, it started to come back, and a lot of them are like, ooh, like,
yeah,
okay, I guess, yeah, I got carried away. I was drunk, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And so I see that as a shift of mentality. Now, not everyone is coming around, and it's not even that I want people to come around to Trump, but I do want people to kind of
just be more rational.
Yeah, just kind of realize what you're doing here. And I see that happening to some degree.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen is, and we played that guy that, I guess, psychic, the guy that had that vision. Yes. How crazy is that? So wild. 3 months ago, I mean, legitimately 3 months ago.
The texts I got after that episode of like, where did you find that?
It's on YouTube.
Yes.
It is from 3 months ago. And it was just off enough to make it believable, right? Mm-hmm. He said it's going to come so close to his ear that it shatters his eardrum. And so maybe it did. But it kind of, it nicked his ear. He didn't say that. So it was just amazing. And he goes on to say in that, I don't know if we played the whole thing, but that Trump does win the election and that it's a very trying time. Yeah. So I believe Trump is going to win the election. I don't think they're going to be able to assassinate him again. Everyone's on like high alert at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, it's just going to be so obvious. They're going to have to like drone strike him or something.
Right.
And they can't because that's so obvious that it was, done by the CIA or whoever, deep state. So I see Trump winning.
What if it's a lone wolf drone strike?
What if it's literally a lone wolf? How did a wolf get into Mar-a-Lago?
Put it on the prediction list.
Trump said in his speech, he said the next 4 years are going to be the greatest 4 years in American history. And I heard that and I was like, what? Like, that's a bit much, right?
Yeah.
But then I thought, like, well, I think the next 4 years are going to be probably the worst 4 years in American history for a lot of people.
I agree with you.
I think we're going to see, so this is, I said earlier that there's one other play that they have to take Trump out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to use it before he gets elected. They're going to use it once he's in office.
Yeah.
And they're going to totally, intentionally, deliberately tank the U.S. dollar.
Right.
And the U.S. economy. The global economy is going to crash.
Which is already headed in that direction.
It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to make the Great Depression look like a walk in the park.
Yeah.
And so I, being psychic, am also... What I see is Donald Trump getting elected and starting out as this kind of who we all know him to be, just this over-the-top, braggadocious egomaniac. But that through this trying time, he actually becomes this reluctant hero that has to deal with a major problem. Yeah. And it's going to happen at the beginning of his term instead of at the end of his term like it did last time. Mm-hmm. And so he's just going to be stuck with this problem. And he's going to have to figure out a way to get America out. And if he pulls that off, then it will be the greatest 4 years in American history, because it'll mean actually, if we can save America in these 4 years, or at least get it
kind
all
of
rolling
from the ashes approach.
Yes, then it will be that'll be the miracle. You know, that's gonna.
Man, you went deep with this prediction. I like it.
I think that Trump honestly believes that he was chosen by God to lead America. And I think this shot in the ear confirmed that to him. It's almost not even like...
To be fair, that's what Gavin Newsom thinks too.
Well, it's almost not even... like, he doesn't see himself as being arrogant. He and this is scary, right? I mean, I'm sure anyone hearing this is like, oh, great. He's a just total megalomaniac, right?
Yeah.
He thinks God chose him for this. But I think that in Trump's heart, he's not just an egomaniac, that he believes in a humble way that he was picked to do this thing. What he doesn't know is how hard it's actually going to be. His platform is just like, let me read you what the Trump platform is real quick. It sounds pretty good. He says, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Almost everyone's on board with that. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. That sounds scary, but
Did you know
we have how many million?
The last, I think it was the 538 poll. Do you know what percentage of Americans are actually on board with deporting anyone who's here illegally?
No.
What would the media make you believe that number to be if you had just wild guess?
Well, it would be like under 50% all right-wing extremists.
No, it's of all Americans, I think it's 76%.
Wow.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's popular. End inflation and make America affordable again. He wants to end inflation, but he doesn't know how to do that. I guarantee you.
If you can tell me how you're going to do that, I'd love to hear it.
But if he does do that, God bless him. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, I'm assuming by bombing the shit out of Palestine, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over the entire country, all made in America. End the weaponization of government against the American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Notice he didn't say Mexican. Because I think he means China is included in that. Crush gang violence and lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. Fight for and protect Social Security.
Again, by bombing the shit out of people.
Yep. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Kind of flies in the face of stopping inflation. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Keep men out of women's sports. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. And finally, unite our country by bringing it to a new and record levels of success. So a couple of those are kind of scary. The scariest to me is deport pro-Hamas radicals.
Yeah.
Like that could be an American citizen that he's talking about deporting. That would be fucking scary. So all of that stuff is just like,
well,
I don't think you and I would
talking about deporting him. You know, previous administrations, we just drone them. So
that's a good point.
It's a little more humanitarian.
It is actually. Yeah. God, I didn't think about that. But yeah, Obama would just drone your ass.
Twice. Bomb me once, then the paramedics come and fucking bomb them too. Little double tap. Hey, let me ask you something. Have you seen, I don't want to derail you here, but have you seen more masks lately?
Yeah.
I went to the bank and there were more people wearing masks than not.
Really?
I was just like, dude, this is bizarre.
It's the MAGA hat of the left.
Well, what I started thinking, but it seems like it's ramped up a little bit. And it seems to also be, I'm kind of working this out in my mind. It's kind of a psychological kind of thing. I haven't fully connected the dots, but I just wanted to throw this your way. I was thinking about this morning while I was working out back. It is the MAGA hat of the left. And it's people that are feeling whatever kind of emotional distress or whatever. It's a locus of control, which if you get into the work by Matthias Desmet, he's like, yeah, it's just, they feel like they have no power or they're losing power, and this they do have control of. They can wear the mask or whatever. And now, since the last debate, like, it became obvious, like it's out in the ether now. They're like, oh, like looks like Trump could very well be the president. And then the assassination attempt, like, oh shit, like they couldn't have made a better commercial for him. And now we're seeing like we're in a very, very leftist area, not liberal, but leftist. And you're seeing all these masks. I was like, I wonder if those two things are related. Like all the mainstream media turns up. They're like, Biden's got to go. Like we're his own party has turned on him. All the mainstream media has turned on him. And these people that watch, CNN or MSNBC all day, it's like, I think they felt like this involuntary compulsion the next day to start wearing the mask again.
Not because they are afraid of getting sick. It's subconsciously.
Like COVID's not really a thing.
No, it's to protect them from the.
I don't think they even thought
Trumpers.
it through. I think they're just like, I feel like I just wear the mask.
Maybe they're doing it in solidarity with Joe Biden, who now has COVID.
Dude, so he does the debate, right? And just shits his pants, not literally like he did at the Vatican, but just like metaphorically. And because we already knew that, like I said, that debate turned out exactly how I thought it was going to turn out. My only surprise is like, wow, Trump actually controlled his ego slightly. I'm pretty surprised by that. And then all of mainstream media just like turns on him, right? All on the dime, which is a total coincidence, by the way. And then his own party starts turning on him. Like, you got to go. You know what I mean? Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi are like, you got to. Did you hear the interview with Nancy Pelosi? Like, she stepped down, like, well, like that's his choice. Like, so what do you think? When he wants to make that choice, he's like, well, he said he's running again. Well, yeah, I mean, it's certainly something for him to decide. I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking fun to watch. And so it's
endearing.
Because I was just talking about, like, isn't it funny to look at just, if you go over what has happened in the last 5 years, just the absolute fucking clown world of just all the things, like, that wasn't true. That makes no sense. That wasn't true. You guys lied about that. You're wrong about that. And if you add all the stuff together, you're like, this is like a complete, like, circus. And then the fact that he does the debate and then fails miserably, and he goes, well, I got to do some damage control. So he goes on Lester Holt, and he does a couple other appearances, shits the bed even worse. Like, it's just like getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And to put the bow, if the present is clown world of the last 5 years, and the fucking bow on top, it's like, well, I can't really respond to any more questions because I have COVID. I'm like, that is so perfect. It's so, like, you guys brought it around full circle. This is great.
I thought you were vaccinated.
Yes.
So, did you see the tweet that he put out the other day that just said, I'm sick?
That's all it said?
Yeah. Joe Biden. I'm sick.
That's it.
That's it. A lot of the comments are like, what a weird post.
Or you're like, we know.
Well, a lot of them were that. Like, thank you for finally admitting it. Yes, we know. But a couple people were like, God, what a weird post. And I thought, like, did he, like, get his phone and, like, just, like, start tweeting? And they're like, Mr. President, what are you? Hey, get his phone. Get it. He's like, and he's like, I'm sick. And he'd, like, sent it. Yeah.
What's a password?
Gertrude's dad said, he goes, maybe it was, like, some disgruntled intern where they're like, hey, you have to do the post. And they're just like, I don't want you. You have to put something out. Okay, fine. And they're like, I'm sick. There, did it. So bizarre.
Did you hear what Adam Carolla's idea to get Joe Biden to drop out of the race?
No.
Is they're going to say, like, look, Mr. President, like, it's just numbers at this point, and it's time to step down. And when Biden goes, no, I think I'm ready for a second term. And they go like, Mr. President, this is your second term.
Dude, that would so fucking work. I can't believe they haven't thought of that. See, that's what we were saying earlier. It's amateur hour around there. They need the new blood. They need someone like Adam Carolla who's like just charged and ready for this shit.
Adam Carolla, who might be the guy that in the span of 2 minutes sunk Gavin Newsom's entire presidential future, or at least put it on hold for a very long time.
I'm wondering if Gavin Newsom knew he was going to be on that.
He didn't know because Adam Carolla said that. He goes, no, they threw me on at the last second. Like, why don't you jump on there too? And Gavin Newsom's coming on, and Adam Carolla's like, sweet.
He is Gavin Newsom's kryptonite.
Oh, dude.
He's got that guy's number like nobody else.
That guy just sweating bullets. It was so great. He just sat there with that big smile on his face like, always good to see you, Adam.
I loved it.
That was great.
I could watch that on loop. So I guess just to kind of put a bow on what I was saying, that I believe we have reached a turning point, and we've said many times in the past that there needs to be a correction. It's not going to be pleasant, but it has to happen. And I think that by Trump getting nicked, it set in motion the beginning of the end of our system. And they are going to fight like hell to implement central bank digital currency, which if you don't know what that is, we're going to be talking about that next week, right?
It's on the list.
They're going to try to put into place all sorts of draconian laws. Oh, one thing I forgot to say. This struck me today too. So the whole, that company, was it? So during the CrowdStrike glitch that happened, which didn't really seem that bad to me. My sister-in-law's flight got canceled or screwed up, but they still figured it out when she got here. I don't really see what the big deal was. But there's that company that shorted Donald Trump's businesses.
Yes, I did see that.
What's the name of that company? Or who was the group that did that?
It was a hedge fund. I can't remember.
Okay, so
I listened to an interview with the guy too. He's like, "Oh, it was a bookkeeping error, and we're going to correct that."
Yeah, you did that to Truth Social and Rumble, and it was a clerical error. The day before or a week before Trump was to be assassinated. Then
we're gonna
let me just run this by you. Okay, I don't have any. I have ideas. I haven't figured anything out yet. But what if the plan was to take Trump out, and then they take the shooter's phone, which somehow they haven't been able to get into yet, and they see on the phone.
Wait, they can't get into one of his phones.
Right.
Yes.
So they see on his phone that he had all of this like social media stuff that we don't see now, but through the phone you see, he had an alias and whatnot. And so, it's so sad that this president was murdered, but he's a victim of his own rhetoric. And if you look here, all this stuff on Truth Social, all this stuff on Rumble, we need to crack down on misinformation right away. And we're going to pass legislation to ban basically free speech. And they were going to use this guy's phone for that. Well, then shit didn't go exactly like they planned it. And so guess we can't get into the phone.
The bastard had to turn his head at the last second.
Yep. So that's what we're in for. All right. It's going to get bad, but if we stick together and we don't let the psychopaths that are in power now use this as an excuse to further subjugate us, don't let them take your bank account from you and force you to use central bank digital currency. Don't let them take your house from you. We have to use this time to make America great again. Or to coin a phrase.
I didn't know you were going to quote Joe Biden.